President Trump has done it again. He's upended the political landscape with a series of sweeping immigration policies. These measures, enacted in the first weeks of his new term, signal a hardline approach to border security and immigration enforcement. From executive orders to foreign policy shifts, the impact of these decisions is already being felt both domestically and internationally. These policies are not simply a continuation of Trump's previous administration's agenda. They represent a significant escalation, a tightening of the screws on immigration that has left many reeling. The consequences of these actions are far-reaching, touching upon the lives of millions both within the United States and beyond its borders. The world watches as the United States grapples with these changes. The implications for human rights, international relations, and the very fabric of American society hang in the balance. In this tumultuous landscape, one thing is certain: the stakes have never been higher. This is not just about politics, it's about people. It's about families, separated, dreams deferred, and futures uncertain. It's about the fundamental question of who we are as a nation and what we stand for. At the heart of Trump's immigration overhaul lies Executive Order 14,159, ominously titled Protecting the American People Against Invasion. Signed on January 20, 2025, this sweeping order reads like a wish list for immigration hardliners. It's a blueprint for a more closed-off America, one where the welcome mat has been unceremoniously yanked away. The order's provisions are vast and impactful. They include an expansion of expedited removal, allowing for the deportation of undocumented immigrants without the inconvenience of a court hearing. Sanctuary jurisdictions, those cities and states that refuse to fully cooperate with federal immigration enforcement, face defunding. Undocumented immigrants are now subject to mandatory registration requirements with penalties for non-compliance. But it doesn't stop there. The order also calls for a hiring surge for immigration and customs enforcement and customs and border protection agents, bolstering the ranks of those tasked with enforcing these stringent measures. Access to public benefits for undocumented immigrants is further restricted, adding another layer of hardship to their already precarious existence. Executive Order 14,159 represents a significant escalation of the administration's immigration crackdown. It's a multi-pronged assault on undocumented immigrants, making it more difficult for them to live, work, and simply exist in the United States. Trump's immigration policies extend far beyond America's borders. In a move that has sent shockwaves through the international community, the administration has suspended foreign aid to several Latin American countries, including Haiti, Colombia, Ecuador, and Honduras. The justification? These nations, according to the White House, haven't done enough to stem the flow of migrants heading north. The consequences of this decision have been swift and devastating. In Haiti, a $13 million cut has crippled anti-gang efforts, exacerbating an already dire security situation. Colombia has been forced to ground 18 Black Hawk helicopters, hampering its fight against drug trafficking. In Honduras, training programs for prosecutors handling MS-13 gang cases have been suspended, jeopardizing efforts to combat this notorious criminal organization. Critics argue that this approach is not only short-sighted, but also counterproductive. By undermining stability and security in these countries, the administration is inadvertently fueling the very problems it claims to be addressing. The suspension of foreign aid is a blunt instrument that risks causing more harm than good, further destabilizing the region and exacerbating the migrant crisis. The Trump administration has adopted a tough-love approach to international diplomacy when it comes to immigration. Countries refusing to accept repatriation flights for their citizens who have been ordered deported from the United States face a stark choice: cooperate or face the consequences. And those consequences are nothing to scoff at. The administration has threatened a range of retaliatory measures, including sanctions and trade restrictions, against countries deemed non-cooperative. This hardline stance has put several nations in a difficult position, caught between domestic political pressures and the threat of American retribution. This approach has been met with a mixture of condemnation and cautious acceptance. Some see it as a necessary step to enforce immigration laws and ensure accountability. Others view it as bullying tactics that damage America's standing in the world. Regardless of one's stance, one thing is clear: the Trump administration is playing hardball, and the stakes are high. Section 5. Caught in the crossfire. Nonprofits grapple with policy shifts. Nonprofit organizations, often on the front lines of providing aid and support to immigrants, have found themselves caught in the crossfire of Trump's immigration crackdown. The administration's policies have created a climate of uncertainty and fear, making it increasingly difficult for these organizations to carry out their missions. One of the most significant blows has been the freezing of grants to organizations involved in refugee resettlement and immigrant support. Groups like Catholic Charities USA, long a stalwart provider of such services, have seen their funding slashed, forcing them to scale back programs and lay off staff. This has left a significant gap in the safety net for vulnerable populations, leaving many struggling to access essential services. The administration's actions have sparked a heated debate about the role of faith-based organizations in immigration assistance. Some argue that these groups should not be involved in what they see as a primarily governmental function. Others counter that faith-based organizations have a moral obligation to help those in need, regardless of their immigration status. This debate highlights the deep divisions within American society over immigration and the role of government. Section 6. A nation divided, public opinion on Trump's immigration agenda. It should come as no surprise that Trump's immigration policies have ignited a firestorm of controversy. Public opinion on these issues is sharply divided along partisan and racial lines, reflecting the deep polarization that has come to characterize American politics. Recent polls paint a picture of a nation divided. While a slim majority of Americans believe that the current level of deportations is about right, a significant minority believe that the administration is going too far. Support for the deployment of the military to the border is higher, but even here, there is a substantial minority who disapprove. The partisan divide is stark. Republicans overwhelmingly support Trump's immigration agenda, while Democrats are largely opposed. This partisan split is mirrored in the views of white and non-white Americans, with white adults expressing far more support for the administration's policies than their black and Hispanic counterparts. The debate over immigration is often heated and emotionally charged. It touches upon fundamental questions about national identity, security, and the meaning of American citizenship. These are complex issues with no easy answers, and the debate is likely to continue to rage on for years to come. Section 7. The long shadow of Trump's policies. As the dust settles on Trump's first weeks back in office, it's becoming increasingly clear that his immigration policies will have a lasting impact. The consequences of these actions will reverberate for years to come, shaping the lives of millions and influencing the trajectory of American society. One of the most concerning aspects of these policies is their potential to erode the rule of law and undermine due process. The expansion of expedited removal, for example, raises serious concerns about the right to a fair hearing. The increased use of surveillance technology also raises privacy concerns and the specter of a surveillance state. On the international stage, Trump's policies have strained relationships with key allies and damaged America's reputation. The suspension of foreign aid has been met with widespread condemnation, and the administration's hardline stance on repatriation has further alienated many countries. The long-term consequences of these policies remain to be seen. However, one thing is certain: Trump's immigration legacy will be one of division, disruption, and lasting impact. Section 8. A call to action, your voice matters. The fight over immigration is far from over. The decisions made in Washington, D.C. have real-world consequences, impacting the lives of millions of people. It is imperative that we, as engaged citizens, make our voices heard on this critical issue. There are many ways to get involved. Contact your elected officials and let them know where you stand on these policies. Support organizations working on the front lines to assist immigrants and refugees. Educate yourself and others about the complexities of immigration and the human impact of these policies. Silence is not an option. The future of our nation, our communities, and our values is at stake. Let us stand up for what we believe in and fight for a more just and compassionate immigration system. Section 9. Conclusion. Navigating the shifting sands of immigration policy. The landscape of American immigration policy is in constant flux. President Trump's recent actions represent a significant shift towards a more restrictive and enforcement-focused approach. The consequences of these policies are far-reaching, impacting individuals, families, communities, and international relations. As we navigate this new reality, it is crucial to engage in informed and respectful dialogue. We must consider the human impact of these policies, weigh the costs and benefits, and strive to find solutions that uphold our values as a nation. The debate over immigration is complex and multifaceted. There are no easy answers, and reasonable people can disagree. However, by engaging in thoughtful discussion and advocating for our beliefs, we can work towards a more just and humane immigration system. What are your thoughts on President Trump's 2025 immigration policies?